Hello there. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And my name is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James. Welcome to Lighting the Way with Granny Raps and Rocks.
And we hope to be illuminating some topic tonight.
I trust that you will, and we will.
Well, tonight I want to talk about a tendency that I've seen in myself and many others, which is we want to do something bigger than we're doing. Bigger, better, something significant, right? And that we lose love for it or belonging or something like that. And I want to talk about this because this is something that we're dealing with too. So if you would like to comment while I'm talking and I can address your comment directly live, then please do use the chat right here and now. And if you aren't here when we're here live, you can always leave us a comment and I will respond to you afterwards.
Yep. And we have Todd here saying good evening with a big smile. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you very much, Todd. Good to see you. And another one.
Elizabeth says hello and sends a big heart of love.
Hello.
Same back at you.
Indeed. Okay. So, we have another.
Catalina says hi and sends a heart of love. Thank you, Catalina.
Hi there, Catalina.
Same back at you.
And?
And Tracy says hello and sends a heart of love and caring.
Thank you.
Thank
Hello,
you,
Tracy. So, this is something that so many of us face in our lives in one form or another. Should I stay with this husband or should I go to a bigger and better one?
This one, obviously.
Of course. Should I go to this school that's close to my friends and family or should I go to Harvard? Should we stay in this hick town or should we go to Nashville? You know what I mean?
Right.
But it can be many, many different kinds of things that bear upon this topic. And we don't always realize that what we are choosing is ambition over belonging and love. So that's what I want to talk about tonight. It could be about a different job. Let's say, let's go on. Let's start with the school thing. Okay.
Sure.
So maybe you have never had the opportunity to go to Harvard, right? But I think you can understand the, you have a choice of going to the local school. That's much cheaper. Or going off to some Ivy League college that even if you get a scholarship, it's still going to be a lot of money, right? But you say to yourself, well, it's so much better to go to an Ivy League school. I'm going to get a better education. My life is going to open up. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen to you. So let me tell you something. I went to 3 really good schools. One was Smith College, which was an Ivy League girls' school that kicked me out for political activism. The second one I went to was UCLA. No, I
Cornell.
went to Cornell second.
There's another Ivy League school.
Another Ivy League school. Is Cornell an Ivy League school?
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, okay, so it was another Ivy that I went to graduate school. And that one I left voluntarily to go to Cleveland to make the revolution. And the third one was I went to UCLA and I got my master's. And I haven't used my education for anything that I've done in my entire life, except I learned to think to research and stuff like that, But the topic that I studied, and people, oh my God, I work with young people and they're so obsessed with, I'm going to be, they're 10 years old. I'm going to be I'm going to study this, because we have to make money and this is going to happen, this is going to happen. So it's kind of funny when you think about it. There is so much emphasis on where you go to school, not what kind of a student you are. And I'm not saying that there isn't an element of that. Oh, yeah. If any of you have watched this TV series Suits, everybody who went to that into that law firm had gone to Harvard Law. And the guy who was like one of the most brilliant lawyers they ever had pretended to go to Harvard Law, never did go.
Right.
So that made me laugh. But anyway, why is it really best for you to go to Harvard? Maybe you're going to lose your entire support system. Maybe you're going to get nuts. Maybe you're going to start drinking.
Or drugging.
Or overeating. Or, I don't know, whatting. And maybe you would have been better off going to, Schmagega-U. So, I don't know.
Or the local community college.
The local community college.
After
exactly. And go to the local community. So you have the support of people around you as you grow into the 4-year college. And then do you want to go away to some very prestigious school, or do you want to stick around because your friends are there? So I'm not saying what you should do. I'm talking about the conflicts we have and what motivates us to make the decisions that we ultimately do make. I think for me as a child, now remember, I'm 78 years old, so I grew up in a different era, but it was very much like, oh my God, you're going to an Ivy League school. Wow, you must be something. Yeah. I didn't become any of the things that you're supposed to become if you go to an Ivy League school. I became a rebel. So now I want to talk about another situation. Let's say you are a singer and in your hometown, you love to sing and you entertain people and they love what you're doing, and it's just like, oh my God, I really feel comfortable here. And then suddenly you start having thoughts about, yeah, but if I don't make it in Nashville or in New York or in LA or in Chicago, who am I? We have another comment.
Amy says, hi, Beth and James. This is a great topic. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. This reminds me of when Louis Armstrong was young and a trumpet player in New Orleans. He never wanted to leave. He says, I'm going to stay here the rest of my life. I love these parades, playing Dixieland jazz.
Yeah.
But he wound up having the ambition to go on to Chicago and go on to fame and fortune.
Yeah. And illness and, a lot of other things that we get when we're going after fame and fortune. And you see, that is the point. The truth is that we may be thinking we're going to get, things are going to be better, but maybe they're going to be worse. Look at all those young rock stars who ended up dead.
Oh, yeah.
Or strung out, or, ruined their health, or out of their minds, or whatever it is. But they had to go, just had to go. So is there something wrong with playing music in your hometown? Well, I don't know. You say, well, but I'm better than that. I'm so much better than that. Yeah, but you know something? It doesn't matter how much better you are. A lot of it is luck. Whether you're going to make it, you're not going to make it, but you've got to prove something. Oh, yes, I have to prove something. Maybe I'm not even thinking about what I want. Maybe I'm going to go on the road and ruin my marriage. Or I'm going for a better job. Better, more money, more prestige. And is it a better job, or is it just a more stressful job and now you're not going to be home with your family anymore? And it's like, okay, Okay, so I hope you're seeing that there are, I'm going to move out of state to where it's happening. What is the it
That's happening.
that's happening? And how happening is that it? And do you really need to be there? So James and I are going through a little something here along the same lines.
Hmm.
Okay, so we live in a neighborhood in a very nice town, and
College town too. As
it's
matter
a
of
college
fact.
town. Not that we have done one thing that has anything to do with the college. We said, "Oh yes, we should
Well, we live
move."
next door to a professor.
Oh yes, I'm gonna move to a college town, right? Because there's so many activities. Who wants to live? We used to live up in the mountains. There was no college. There was like nothing. You had to drive to the next town to even get a high school or any kind of a school. So there was nothing going on there. There was no fame. There was no fortune. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved but I didn't have any relationship with the people. But I certainly loved the trees. So I
And the
felt
river.
holy communion with the trees and the river, and I never wanted to leave, but the universe had other ideas. And then we chose this place for many good reasons. And so a lot of the things that we could say that, oh yes, this is why we would have chosen this town, we have never done. I mean, we're old. I like to stay home. Not only do I like to stay home, I have to stay home most of the time. It's a fact. I'm here on the internet with you. What does it matter where I live? I could live in the bottom of the sea as long as I had the internet. And so we were thinking very seriously about moving elsewhere because of my health. Now, that is a really good reason to move. My health is terrible. We were going to move into where the air was better. I wasn't going to have as many allergies. Yes, it's the coast. Okay, so we're thinking all that, right? And then we told our next door neighbors that we are putting our house up for sale, though we don't know if we could even move, with the real estate market being what it is. And they were sad that we were going. And suddenly I felt like, do I really want to leave? Even for my health. And not only that, I have a 9-foot piano here. Do you have any idea how loud a 9-foot piano is? So I asked both of these neighbors separately that same day, do you hear my piano? And they both said yes. They hear it when they're outside in the backyard. Our properties aren't that big or that far apart. And if they open the window, they hear it. But they said, don't worry, it doesn't bother us. It's fine, don't worry. And so I'm thinking, I'm leaving a place where I belong. They just accept me, and they accept James. And they just accept this, and there's a sense of belonging here. I never even realized that before, because we don't do a lot of stuff with our neighbors. We don't go out much, but there is a sense of belonging here. But there's something bigger and better out there. Well, maybe there is. Maybe I would be healthier. Maybe I wouldn't be healthier. But here I've got a doctor, a dentist. Where we're moving, it is very, very difficult to find anything where your needs get met.
Like a doctor.
Like
or
a doctor or a dentist or a vet,
veterinarian.
yeah, or a groomer for your dog or any of those things. Okay, so that
Or
kind
the right kind of salon for your hair.
oh yeah, the right kind of salon for my hair is a place where they don't have toxic fumes so that I don't throw up or get a headache when I go there. So I'm beginning to realize that I'm feeling very conflicted because for the first time, when we were up in the mountains, in the forest, I never wanted to leave. And I really didn't care if what I was doing was important or it wasn't important or if anybody heard of me. But the ambition was kind of small compared to the trees and the river. But this doesn't even have that. I mean, it's just we love our home and we've spent a lot of time fixing it up and it's comfy.
We have a waterfall.
We have a waterfall
and
that
we
we
have
put in.
neighbors who accept us and
And neighbors
appreciate
who,
us.
yes. And a lot of other things. James goes to the local Indian restaurant to pick up our cheapest order on the planet, and they know us, and they'll say, "Hi, James." They even know what we're going to order because we always order the same thing because I can only eat one thing in
So
any
again, a
place.
sense of belonging.
It's a sense of belonging. So I started to think about this tonight. How many times have we, and I would love you to make a comment now if you want to, about some comment, about some situation where you have felt conflicted between something bigger and better, a bigger, better husband, and I don't mean bigger in the way you know, or a wife, or friends, or house. You know, when my parents moved, I grew up in New York City. Yes, I actually grew up in New York City. There are people who live there and who grow up there. Poor people, as a matter of fact, who lived there and grew up there. At least it used to be that way. I'm sure it still is. And I was born in Brooklyn, and we lived in an apartment. Naturally, you know. And my parents, when I was 3 years old, they moved to what we called Kvins. Kvins, which is Queens, but with a Yiddish accent. And I'm sure it was a great thing because suddenly they had a house with a little yard, and in some ways I'm sure it was great. But I'm sure at the same time they lost all their babysitters that lived in the building. They lost the community laundry where they could meet, where the women could meet each other and talk and cry about their miserable husbands, or where they didn't have to buy their own washer and dryer, and just all the things and all the connections, and the kids already knew everybody, in the building and on the block. I remember I lived on a block in New York City, in Manhattan, that I believe I was told it had 10,000 residents on that block. That's a lot of people. Anyway, so are we losing community because we're looking for the star? So I am not saying that you should never leave someplace. I don't mean that. I mean some things you need to leave because it's abusive, and some things you need to leave because it's constraining you, because the people there are bigoted or have a certain idea of who you should be, and they don't want you to be yourself or free. Maybe you have to leave. Maybe you have to leave. And maybe there is a destiny for you somewhere where you have to take a risk of letting go of the connections, or maybe you don't have good connections with the people around you. And for instance, when I was in elementary school and junior high, I didn't have one single friend because I was an oddball. And I went to the High School of Performing Arts in Manhattan, and I suddenly had a friend because she was an oddball and I was an oddball in similar oddballness. And that was a great thing, and it's similar stuff. So, I am not saying we should never look to do something that will better us, but I am saying beware ambition and what you're losing. So I'm wondering if there is any comment coming up here. James, you want to share something while I'm waiting to see if somebody comments?
Well, I've moved around quite a bit in my life, and
He gets around.
yeah, I was always looking for something better.
Yes.
And when I went to a place and it wasn't better, I'd move to another place, and then another place, and another place. And so I didn't have a lot of a support system, except that I was married, and we moved together. And so that was our thing that brought us together, kept us together, is that we were struggling in a new environment together. I had let go of ambition in a certain way after leaving law school. Instead of trying to get on with a big firm, I went to the anti-poverty program to try to help people. And I quit the law, when I was 29 and went to live in an international New Age community called Findhorn, and pursuing a spiritual path. And so, but nonetheless, I was looking for something better, something
Yes.
higher.
Yes.
And
So
then-
again, I'm not
yeah.
saying you
Mhm.
should never leave. I'm saying take a look at why you are leaving, and
Mhm.
be sure that it is serving you. It looks like we've got a comment.
Oh, Todd has a comment. Good topic tonight. I'm glad to hear you're staying, though I realize that could change at any time.
Jean.
And Todd gives us a big smile. And Todd says, I can relate to look for something bigger and better.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can too. That dissatisfaction that we have within us. In fact, I would like to say something about this in another respect,
Mhm.
which is I play what I play. You know, I improvise and I'm comfortable doing what I do. And we have a magical improv show every Thursday night at 7 p.m. that you are invited to. So I'm always thinking I should be doing something different. Right. Oh, I should be playing jazz, or I should be doing this, something bigger that will maybe have a bigger audience, or just because I want to expand in some way. And this is so funny because I'm always encouraging people to expand, but I'm not encouraging you to expand for your ego's sake. And you know what I realize? I'm not going to learn jazz now at 78, crippled, with no memory. That when I can't practice, that I love to play the music that I play. And I want to play this music because it speaks to me. And I can listen to other people's music. I can love it and appreciate it, but I can be myself. And we have another.
Oh, yes. Amy has a comment. I play the harp locally, and I used to think I should be playing out of town and a tour.
Yeah.
That would prove how good a musician I was.
Yeah,
But
Amy.
it didn't need to do that. Ultimately, to still feel like I played well, and still am making people happy with the gorgeous sound.
You know, that is such a perfect example of what I'm talking about. You know, it's like when we stop acting out of ambition, we can check in with ourselves and we can see what is really right for us and become, you know, when we're satisfied with ourselves, we have some respect for ourselves, we value what we're doing. Life changes. And by the way, it's funny, Todd, you're saying that you're glad that we're not moving. We haven't even decided that we're not moving. We're just looking at this question. But you know, I'm kind of feeling, because I've been feeling this, I don't want to move anymore. And I was wondering why, and I finally figured it out over dinner, I think,
Yes.
why I didn't want to move just before the
Because you
show.
had a sense of belonging. with
Because
the
I had a
neighbors.
sense of belonging. Because I
And
saw
this
an
locale.
image flash in front of my head with our next door neighbor who brings us blueberries. And so what Amy is talking about is so much about what it really is. I mean, am I doing what's right for me? Some of us make ourselves small.
And Todd says, that's why I said I realized that I could change it anytime.
That's right. So we're still trying to figure it out. But I'm beginning to feel more and more like, oh my God, you know, it would take us an hour and a half to get to the one doctor who helps me in the whole world. You know, I don't know which is worse, dirty air or no doctor who can help me. So exactly. So some of us are playing small when we need to move on and we need to expand. But some of us are playing big when we need to be who we are. So the bottom line of it is, right? We need to be who we are. I'm not going to hide under a bush. If Oprah came to me and said, Beth, I've been looking for you all my life. Would you come onto my show? I probably would, as long as it was on the internet and I wouldn't have to travel. But you see what I'm saying? But I'm not going to knock myself out anymore, chasing rainbows to prove my value, just like Amy said. And you shouldn't either. So whether you're trying to make yourself small or you're trying to make yourself big, you know, think about how much is a question of love and belonging, and what do we truly need, and how much do we value what we're doing versus chasing after something that
We have
isn't
another
right.
comment
Oh
here.
my.
Elizabeth says, I thought I needed to build my own business because part of me felt that would mean I was even more accomplished and would make more money. Thanks to you, I realized I'm much happier to work for someone else and not worry about taking care of business.
Oh my goodness. Boy, do I
Very
identify with you.
good.
Oh, that's great, Lizzie.
Oh, yes, and Karen says, oh, yes, I've been conflicted about moving myself for a while. Thanks for this topic.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, and so there's a situation where are you better off where you are? Are you really able to take care of yourself well where you are?
Mm-hmm.
And are you just hanging on because you're afraid of change? Or do you need to get your ass out of there? Or are you wanting to move because you have some idea about yourself that, what you should be doing?
That was Amy, what she was talking about.
Yeah.
The idea that I should be on tour.
Exactly. So, I would like to be on tour right here in my living room on the internet. So if anybody wants me to play or speak in your community, you let me know and we can arrange something on the internet. And that's the kind of touring I'd like to do
Yeah.
because that suits me, who I am, and what my needs are. So isn't that the bottom line? Who are we really? What are our needs? What is going to best fit our needs and help us to become the greatest contributor to the planet that we can be, because we are fulfilling our potential, not what we think it should look like, but what it really is. And maybe I am supposed to only be entertaining the birds in our backyard. And that's my contribution. So that's it for tonight.
Okay, then.
So every Wednesday night, Lighting the Way, Granny Raps and Rocks. Come back Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. And we do our magical improv, James and I, on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time. In the meantime, please like this show. Please love the show. Please
Share the show.
share, comment, and follow our page if you haven't already. And the time is up.
So long for now.
So
Hope to
long.
see you soon.
Who knows where we'll be next week? Okay. Bye-bye.